Glad to have you with us here on Seahawks today. I got a little challenge for the 12s. Chase Sr. over at the 49ers report, he was talking some smack, and he said, Tyler, I've seen your sub numbers. You guys aren't even close to the 49ers report. There is no way that you could get 50 subs off of today's video. And I said, Chase, first off, you're wrong. You are a part of a loser team. We beat you guys the last time around. We had a better record than you guys. I won't stand for this. I will defend your honor, 12s. Back me up on this. Let's get 50 new subscribers off today's show and prove the 49ers report wrong. Make it happen for the latest happenings on your favorite team all offseason long. Subscribe now for free, and we'll get started with today's show. Big move coming. Could that be the case for Seattle as the offseason is officially here? On today's show, we're going to break down 3 potential trade targets, courtesy of Bleacher Report, as they named their top 3 players that should be on the market for Seattle that they should consider trading for with the offseason here. Let's start with this from Alex Ballantyne of Bleacher Report, who describes what Seattle is looking at here this offseason. The Seahawks took a huge step forward on defense in Mike Macdonald's first season, but that was really going from one of the league's worst defenses to middle of the pack. Taking another leap in 2025 will come down to what kind of personnel moves they make. This one solidifies a crucial position group. So what are those potential moves? Let's start with our first trade target. That is Joe Thuney of the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe Thuney's had a fantastic career in the National Football League, 32 years old, and reached another Super Bowl this season, but came up just short as the Chiefs fell to the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's interesting with Thuney, the Chiefs this year, with the uncertainty they had at the left tackle position, moved him from his natural spot of left guard over to left tackle, and it worked for a while until they got exposed against Philly there in the Super Bowl. But Joe Thuney at his position, his natural position at left guard, is one of the very best in the league, even at 32 years of age. 4-time Super Bowl champion with Kansas City and New England, a 3-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time first-team All-Pro. And even with him getting older at this point in time, he still is playing his best football. First-team All-Pro this season, folks. Now, when it comes to the Chiefs situation, and I happen to know them pretty well, I don't know why the Chiefs would trade Joe Thuney other than the age factor, as the Chiefs have their own problems on the offensive line, and I would think they would want to keep Joe Thuney around. But if they're willing to, for whatever reason, to potentially say bye-bye to Joe Thuney, if I'm John Schneider, I'm raising my hand. Hey, over here. We'll take him. We need all the help we can get. He's still playing at an extremely high level at 32 years old. In fact, you could argue he's played the best football of his career right now. In fact, when they moved him over to the left tackle position, week by week, he continued to improve and get better. I would think in Seattle, with Charles Cross there, he would go back to his natural position of left guard. But nonetheless, this would be a great pickup for Seattle if they could bring Joe Thuney in. Thuney this past season had an offensive grade near 80, a pass block grade near 82, and a run block grade near 74. He was very solid on all fronts. You put him next to Charles Cross, and this totally changes the offensive line situation for Seattle to get a veteran of his caliber. So let's ask you, our pinned comment today, should the Seahawks trade for Joe Thuney? Type T for trade, type P for pass. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know. Type T for trade, P for pass in the comments section below. Up next, we turn our attention to Marlon Humphrey, the corner from the Baltimore Ravens, who played under Mike Macdonald in Baltimore as he was the defensive coordinator there for 2 seasons before taking the Seahawks head coaching job. And Marlon Humphrey had a nice bounce-back season in 2024 as he was named a first-team All-Pro selection for the second time in his career, a 4-time Pro Bowler, including this year. And 2020 was one of his best seasons. He led the NFL in forced fumbles, which you don't see very often from a player at the corner position, with 8 that year. And you look at the corner position for Seattle here, all right? You have a great one at the nickel spot in Devin Witherspoon. Devin Witherspoon, I think, is my favorite player on this Seahawks team right now. I love what he's doing. But Rick Woolen, you're a little sus about. We've seen the good. We've seen the bad. But even with that said, Rick Woolen's not going anywhere because you have too many weaknesses at that corner spot. Josh Jobe was a nice find, a nice promotion off the practice squad. But if we're going to be honest here, does anyone feel confident about Josh Jobe being a full-time starter going into next year? I would be more than happy to keep Josh Jobe around, but I don't want him to be my starting outside corner. If he backs up Marlon Humphrey, that's a compromise that I could be down with. All of a sudden, then you have some depth. You get a talented player like Humphrey who's playing some really good football and has thrived in Mike Macdonald's system in the past. I like this possibility. Humphrey in 2024 had a total of 6 interceptions, 15 pass breakups, 67 tackles, and 5 TFLs. It was a very strong campaign for Marlon Humphrey this past season. A nice bounce-back year where he played in 16 of 17 games. He did miss some time in 2023, but prior to that, played a full season in 2022 where he had 71 tackles, 3 TFLs, 7 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. I think this would make Seattle's corner situation feel a lot better with Marlon Humphrey, who's still not that old either, just 28 as we showed you earlier as far as that goes. Should the Seahawks bring in Marlon Humphrey? What do you think about that possibility? Weigh in, let us know. Type Y for yes, in for no in the comments section if you think the Hawks should bring in Marlon Humphrey. The last player on Bleacher Report's list of trade targets for Seattle is another offensive lineman. This one is Alex Cappa from the Cincinnati Bengals. Cappa, a former third-round pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of Humboldt State. If you can name where Humboldt State is, I'll give you $1. Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then joined the Cincinnati Bengals, and a lot of experience for Alex Cappa in his time in the National Football League. 102 career games played with 96 total starts in his career. Now, I'll say this when it comes to Cappa. Of the 3 players that we're talking about here on today's show, this would definitely be my last choice between these 3. I'd much rather have Joe Thuney or Marlon Humphrey than I would Alex Cappa. But of these 3 options, the thing that benefits him compared to the other 2 is that he was the worst of the 3. He would be the cheapest of the 3 to bring in. The more likely of these 3, it would be the easiest option for Seattle to bring in. And he's coming off a down year. His numbers weren't that great, according to Pro Football Focus in 2024. In 1,100 snaps, his offensive grade was a 50.5. His pass block grade, not so great, a 39.7. And a run block grade of 54.9. So not great when it comes to Alex Cappa, but prior to this season, he had a pretty decent track record. Kind of reminds me of Laken Tomlinson in the sense where you're kind of gambling on the idea that you get the version we saw previously, not the most recent version. That gamble didn't pay off for Seattle this past year with Laken Tomlinson as he struggled mightily, but it might still be better than the potential options you have with where this team is at right now. Now, we've gone through the 3 players the Bleacher Report has suggested. What do you guys think? Who's a player Seattle should trade for? Give me a name that comes to mind, whether it's one of these 3 or whether it's somebody else out there. Get in that comment section and let us know who you think that is. For continuing Seahawks offseason coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. Best part about it, 100% free. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.